Put your headphones on. Sit back and listen carefully, because what I am about to tell you is something I have never told anyone completely before. Think about the moment someone told you you deserve better than this. Now think about whether you actually believed them. Because I heard those words many times in my life. But I only believed them once. The day I met a man 22 years older than me. This is that story. My name is Wulan. And I want to tell you why I married a man who was almost 50 years old when I was only 26. Not because my family forced me. Not because I had no other choice. But because he was the first person in my whole life who made me feel like my own feelings actually mattered. Let me tell you the whole story. I was 26 years old when I met Surya. He was 48. I know what you are thinking. I thought the same things when people first told me about him. An older man. A widower. A quiet, serious person who kept mostly to himself. I was not looking for marriage at all at that time in my life. 3 years before I met him, I had gone through something painful. A relationship that ended badly. A man my own age who had promised me many things and given me almost none of them. He made me feel small. He made me question my own judgment about everything. By the time it ended, I did not trust myself anymore. I did not trust men. I did not trust the whole idea of love. My mother worried about me constantly during those years. She saw me pull away from everything, friends, family gatherings, even simple conversations. I had built a wall around myself, brick by brick, and I was fairly certain I would live behind that wall for the rest of my life. I met Surya through my uncle. He was a colleague from my uncle's old workplace. His wife had passed away 4 years earlier from a long illness. He had one daughter, already grown, married and living in another city. My uncle mentioned him to my mother almost casually, at a family dinner. A good man, he said. Quiet. Honest. Alone now. Perhaps Wulan could just meet him. No pressure. Just meet him. I said no immediately. An older man. A widower. What would we even talk about? But my mother asked me gently, just once, Nak, will you meet him just for 1 cup of tea? If you do not like him, we will never mention it again. I agreed only because saying no felt like more effort than saying yes. We met at a small cafe. I remember I arrived early, sat in the corner, and prepared myself to be bored for exactly 30 minutes before making a polite excuse to leave. He arrived exactly on time. Simple clothes. Grey at the temples. A calm, unhurried way of walking, like a man who had learned that rushing rarely changed anything important. He sat down. He ordered tea. He looked at me directly, not in an uncomfortable way, but in a way that felt like he was actually paying attention. Your uncle tells me you like to read, he said. I was surprised. This was not the opening line I expected. I do, I said carefully. What are you reading right now? I told him. A novel about a woman rebuilding her life after a difficult divorce. I do not know why I chose to mention that particular book. Perhaps some part of me wanted to see how he would react. He nodded slowly. Rebuilding is hard work, he said. Harder than building the first time, I think. Because the second time, you already know how much it can hurt to lose something. I looked at him properly for the first time. Nobody had said something like that to me in 3 years. Not my friends, who wanted me to simply move on and forget about it. Not my family, who wanted me to smile and pretend everything was fine. Just this quiet stranger, sitting across from me, who somehow understood something true about pain without me explaining anything at all. We met 4 more times over the following 2 months. Each time, he never once rushed me. He never asked personal questions about my past relationship. He never pushed for anything more than what I was comfortable giving in that particular conversation. Once, I cancelled our meeting at the very last moment. I woke up that morning simply unable to face meeting anyone. I sent a short message. I am sorry, I cannot come today. His reply came within minutes. No apology needed. Whenever you are ready, I will be here. No anger. No disappointment. No guilt placed on me. I sat with that message for a long time that day. I realized I could not remember the last time someone had given me permission to simply not be ready, without making me feel like a burden for it. On our 5th meeting, I finally asked him directly. Why me? I said. You could easily find someone closer to your own age. Someone with less complicated history. Why are you patient with someone like me? He was quiet for a moment, turning his cup slowly in his hands. I was married for 18 years, he said. My wife was sick for the last 3 of those years. During that time, I learned something important. Love is not really about grand gestures or perfect timing. Love is mostly about patience. About sitting quietly with someone through their hard days without demanding they hurry up and feel better. He looked at me. You do not need someone to fix you, Wulan. You are not broken. You simply need time. And I have plenty of that to give. I did not know what to say. I remember my eyes filling with tears, right there in that small cafe, and him simply waiting, calmly, not rushing me to explain or apologize for crying. We got married 1 year after that first meeting. I want to be honest with you. My friends had many opinions about this decision. Some worried I was settling for less because I was afraid of being hurt again by someone my own age. Others worried about the age difference itself, what would happen years down the road, they asked, when he grew old and needed care, when the gap between us became more visible. I understood their concerns. I really did. But I also knew something they could not fully understand from the outside. For the first time in years, I felt completely safe being exactly who I was, uncertain, healing, sometimes still afraid, without needing to perform confidence I did not actually feel. Our marriage has been, in many ways, very quiet. We do not have big dramatic moments. We have small ordinary days, morning tea, quiet conversations, gentle routines. But within that quiet, I found something I did not expect to find at 27 years old. I found a partner who listens completely when I speak, who remembers small details about my day and asks about them later, not because he is performing good behavior, but because he genuinely finds my life interesting. I found someone who never once, in 3 years of marriage, made me feel like my past mistakes defined my worth. I found someone who taught me, through his own quiet actions, what patience in love actually looks like, not passive waiting, but active, gentle presence. People sometimes ask me if I worry about the age difference, about the future, about what will happen in 20 years, or 30. I used to worry about this constantly in the beginning. Then one evening, about a year into our marriage, I asked him directly, "Surya, are you afraid of getting older? Of what that means for us?" He thought about this for a long moment. "Everyone gets older, Wulan," he said. "Everyone eventually needs care from someone else. The question is never really about age. The question is whether two people choose to be present for each other, for however long they have. I would rather have 10 wonderful years with someone who truly sees me, than 50 ordinary years with someone who does not." I have carried that sentence with me ever since. Last year, my younger cousin came to me, nervous and uncertain, because she had feelings for a man 12 years older than her, and her parents were strongly against it purely because of the age gap. She asked me, "Kak Wulan, was it hard choosing someone so much older?" I thought about this carefully before answering. The number itself was never actually the hard part, I told her. The hard part was learning to trust someone again, after being hurt. His age had very little to do with that. What mattered was that he was patient enough to let me heal at my own pace, instead of demanding I hurry up and be ready for him. I paused. "Look for that," I said. "Not a specific age. Look for patience. Look for someone who does not need you to already be perfect before they are willing to stay." I am 30 years old now. Surya is 52. Some mornings, I still notice the grey in his hair, a little more each year, and something quiet moves through my chest, not fear exactly, but a tender kind of awareness that our time together, like everyone's time together, has a shape and a limit that I cannot control. But I have stopped letting that awareness steal the present moment from me. Because here is what I have learned, in these past few years of an unconventional marriage that many people questioned at the start. Love was never really about matching ages, or matching timelines, or matching what other people expect a marriage to look like. Love is about finding someone who makes space for exactly who you are, in exactly the season of life you are actually in, not who they wish you were, not who you used to be, not who you might become someday. Surya gave me that space, patiently, without ever asking me to rush. And in that space, slowly, gently, over months and then years, I finally healed. I finally became myself again. And I found, completely unexpectedly, that I loved him more deeply than I had ever loved anyone in my whole life. Not despite his age. Simply because of who he chose to be, every single quiet day, regardless of the number of years behind him. If you are reading this and someone in your life does not match the picture other people expect, do not let their opinions decide your happiness for you. Look instead at how that person makes you feel. Do they rush you? Or do they wait? Do they demand you perform confidence you do not feel? Or do they let you simply be, exactly as you are, on your hardest days? That is the real question. Not the number of years between you, but the quality of patience between you. That is what actually lasts.